Good day, everyone. At this point in time, I would like to congratulate you all for making it this far. We've finally come to the last topic of the quarter. And this is about work and energy, particularly these types of energy, potential and kinetic. First, kinetic energy is the energy of an object because that is acquired because of its position. One can measure or quantify kinetic energy using this mathematical equation. Kinetic energy, or KE, is equal to 1 half mv squared. That means mass is being multiplied by the square of the velocity, and the product will be divided by 2. So these are the two quantities that affects kinetic energy. It is the mass and the velocity. Now, how is work related with kinetic energy? If you apply a force of an object and move it a certain distance, work is done. So this work will increase or decrease the object's kinetic energy. So this idea tells us that the work done on an object is equal to the change in its kinetic energy. So following this line of thought, one can mathematically equate work with kinetic energy, or work is equal to the change in its kinetic energy. And how do we know that there is a change in its kinetic energy? Now, this can be expressed as work is equal to the kinetic energy final minus the kinetic energy initial. So we can determine if there's a change in its kinetic energy or not by simply getting the difference between the final and from the initial. So in simpler terms, if you push a toy car, you're actually doing work by applying force on it. And by doing so, it displaces the toy car. So this work that you apply on the toy car that enables it to move further is actually making the toy car speed increase, thus increasing also its kinetic energy. Secondly, we have potential energy. So this energy is an energy stored on the object by virtue of its position relative to the ground. So in this picture here, if you're asked which of these objects has the greatest potential energy, so obviously by the definition of potential energy, the object that is located at the highest point has the greatest potential energy. And our answer for this is object C. So the potential energy, or PE, can be quantified using the equation PE, or potential energy, is equal to mass times G, which is the acceleration due to gravity. So it has a constant value. It can be 9.8 meter per second squared. That's the accurate value. Or in our classroom, for instruction purposes, we are using 10 meter per second squared. So mass times the acceleration due to gravity times the height of the object. So if you're going to multiply them, you will get the value of potential energy. Now, how is potential energy related with work? Work is also related to potential energy. Specifically, this type is called the gravitational potential energy. So to increase an object's height, you must do work against the force of gravity. So this work increases the object's potential energy. Specifically in this type of example, when work is done to lift an object, the gravitational potential energy increases. Similarly, as an object falls, its potential energy decreases and then is converted to kinetic energy. So changing the object's height from low ground to high ground increases the potential energy. So when the object is situated at greater heights, and then when it falls, that amount of potential energy, the same energy, is then converted to kinetic energy. So how do we quantify potential and kinetic energy? From the equation, potential energy is mass times the acceleration due to gravity and the height. For kinetic energy, it is mass times the square of velocity, then divided by 2. So that is how one can quantify the amount of energy in potential, or for potential, and for kinetic energy. So here are the key points in today's video lesson. First, energy is the ability to do work, meaning the ability to exert force causing a displacement to an object. And work is the process that transfers energy. So this can be further explained that work as the process that transfers energy, work can actually increase kinetic energy by speeding up or slowing down an object. And likewise, work can increase or decrease potential energy by changing the object's position. At this point in time, we are now going to test your understanding about today's video lesson. So, read each question carefully, and there are choices provided. Number 1, number 2, here is number 3, number 4, and finally, number 5. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your cooperation. Keep going. Keep growing. King Juan Learning. Embrace learning.